Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. We proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn, and our show today is The Listening Mentor. First of all, I just want to say our hearts and prayers are with all of our team members who are out in the West Coast of the United States and California. We hope that you're safe. And also to everyone who's out there in the fire zones, we are praying for you. Today, we are going to be discussing some wonderful things, reflections that we can use to have a fulfilling year in 2025. And hopefully your year is off to a good start wherever you are, although we know there are people who are going through so many things, as I just mentioned, with California. So we want to reflect and thrive. We want to have mindset shifts for fulfilling 2025. And joining me is Caroline.Heward. She is in the United Kingdom, and she is known as the Harley Street Stress Expert, and she helps people bust their stress. She's also a certified therapist, and she has her own shows here on USA Global TV and Radio, including 2 episodes of A Woman's Prerogative on Mondays, which is a tall order to do 2 episodes of anything when you're hosting television the same day. And she also has her own Talking Head show. So please do go to our YouTube channel and go and follow Caroline. Also follow her on LinkedIn, Caroline.Heward. Let's welcome her. Caroline, come on out.
Hello. It is a tall order on a Monday.
Yes, it is, for sure. I was glad to hand it over to you.
I'm sure you were.
So, Caroline, for folks who are just joining us for the first time, it is a new year. I think we're up to 55,000 subscribers now. The numbers continue to grow, and that's just on one YouTube platform. Forget about everywhere else. Tell them a little bit, first of all, about the significance of Harley Street, and then also about why you're so passionate about helping people.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Woohoo for the stats. That's amazing. I'm always in my social media posts promoting joining the channel and subscribing. So that's absolutely incredible. Why was I insistent on being in Harley Street? Well, I'm an ex-corporate girl. I was in marketing and PR and in management. Since I left school, I was in management, and then I changed career and moved into marketing and PR. And so I'd always been academic credentialed in whatever I did. And when I lost my father in 2000, and I started training, and it was really therapy for myself to cure and sort out my own depression, I did a proper training, which put me essentially into Harley Street. And I made a decision that if I was going to do something, if I was going to do a therapy, I was going to do it from a proper credentialized address. And so what that meant was that they have a medical board that meet, and all the medical board, they meet once a month in the particular house that I went to, and they endorse and they go through your credentials, your qualifications, your memberships, your insurances to make sure that you are bona fide. And I felt that rather than have to explain everything, I will literally make sure that a medical board have crawled all over my credentials and deem me to be bona fide and appropriate for that address. And Harley Street is a street that has all the best doctors, whether they be normal doctors in terms of the medical route and alternative doctors. And so I was at Harley Street for 17 years. So I felt that I owed myself the right to call myself the Harley Street stress expert. And I didn't appreciate that I was going to stay that long. And only when I left, I actually moved out of London. I left in November 22 and sold my property in January 23. So I was attached to being in London, and having been in Harley Street for that long, it was very hard for me to let go. And that was because my credentials were valid and people knew what Harley Street was. Now, that's in London and Europe. Maybe in the US, Harley Street is not so known. But I still keep the tag because that's how I've become known. Why am I passionate about what I do? Well, as I just shared, that I solved my own depression. I also solved a lot of different ailments that I was suffering with as a child because I did lots of training and understanding how the mind and body connects and what happens when there's an imbalance. And the imbalance is a symptom, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, behavioral. The symptom shows up in your life. And I solved a lot of my problems that I didn't even realize I had until I was doing my training. And I continue to solve my challenges because we are always evolving and we're always growing. And I'm passionate about the fact that I've helped myself and cured myself of lots of things, that I want to do that for everyone else. Obviously, not everyone is ready, and they're in a space of being in the symptom and treating the symptom. But when people are ready and they're open to look at what's not being resolved, this is where I excel. And I love what I do, and I do what I love primarily because it's changed my life and it changes others' lives, and it moves them into a more peaceful state of being.
Wow. Ooh, that is quite a long list of accomplishments. And just, I love hearing about why you're so passionate about what you do. Before we get into the topic, I do have one question relating to what you just said. Do you think that physical balance is related to emotional balance? In other words, I've practiced yoga for a number of years, and now I'm practicing barre, and we have to stand on one leg. And sometimes my balance is not that great. Do you think it has anything to do with what's going on with you emotionally? Or do you think you should always, if you're in a good place, you'll always have good balance?
Yes, it is to do with where you are. For instance, and I want to share this with you because at this time of year, especially in the UK, it's very cold. And in the UK particularly, it's sort of sub-zero temperatures at the moment, and it's very, very chilly. And this is the time that boilers play up, and we don't have heat, whether it's heat in terms of heating the property and hot water. And when you're without either or, the boiler is related to your emotions. So there will be, if there's a lack of heat, whether it be water or heat in terms of the home, there will be a restriction of expressing your emotions. And so our environment displays exactly what's going on for us. And we're all human, and there's things that we have to handle. So just because you do yoga and it's good, it's like having a bad hair day. We all make sure that we look after our hair, especially women, and then we have a bad hair day, and it's because similarly my hair doesn't work if I'm not on a good day. And my mum frequently says that, oh, my hair's terrible, it's driving me mad, and I don't feel well. But it's like, sort of, even when you are in a good place, that doesn't happen. The hair looks good and you feel good and everything works. But when you're not working and you're out of balance, then things happen in your environment, in your home, and also in your practice. So your practice of yoga, you might be able to do the balancing tree really easily, and then there's other times that you don't do it. And that's because there's stuff that we have to handle. And we're always in a state of flux. Nothing is permanent. And because we're in a state of flux and things are changing, because that's how life is, we don't stand still. Things are always changing, coming at us. It's how we handle the emotions and feelings. It's not about how we manage the practical, logical, physical things. It's when we compress or suppress the emotions and feelings that they get expressed in our external environment and externally with ourselves.
I'm so glad that you shared that. Thank you very much. I know here also on the East Coast of the United States, it's in the 20s today. So it is freezing and I have no heat in the room where I am right now. So my hands and feet are numb. So probably it does affect your balance one way or another.
Yeah, it's not nice when you're cold.
No, it's definitely not. I'd rather be warm than cold, but I have a good attitude. So obviously people have worse things going on right now. So let's talk about the subject for today. You came up with this topic. What was it you had in mind when you came up with the title?
Well, thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. In terms of New Year, lots of people, it seems to push people into a place of reflection. It pushes people into a place of looking back. And if you are struggling or you've had a very difficult year, when you look back, you're looking back at maybe lots of challenges. And then it's very difficult to offset that and feel different, better, or feel positive. And it takes a lot of effort to feel positive, especially if there's challenges in your work, in your family, if there's sickness, then you've just rolled on to the next year. And so it's quite a hard press step forward to change and to be in a different space energetically, physically, emotionally, mentally. And that's certainly something that I've had quite a few challenges in year 2024, personally and professionally, in terms of, sort of moving forward in my work, being in a different location, and also within the family, and needing to be at my family home a bit more than I would have been in the past. And that's put pressure in terms of how I manage everything and what happens. And so it's been quite a challenging year, and it has been for many people. But I've had a big, hard foot forward. I pressed my foot hard and went into meditational practice for New Year. And I've been flying since January 1. Everything's been really going well, and not just in my world, but actually in my family's world as well. And I do feel that it takes a lot of effort, especially if you've had difficulties or challenges, whether it's personal, relationship, or business, to step forward into a new energetic space and make a change and make a difference, rather than just rolling into the new year with the same stuff. And I'm very rehearsed at always making a lot of New Year. New Year for me is always a bigger deal than Christmas. Christmas is family. New Year is something that I do for myself. And when I stepped into that practice, when I was chanting and dancing for New Year, it moved me and my entire being into a totally different energetic space. And sometimes people don't have that. They don't have practice. They don't have something that can move them when they get stuck.
And something else to dovetail off what you're saying is we had another show, Kim Adele Randall, you met her on A Woman's Prerogative. We had a show last week, I think. We were talking about how people set these expectations for the new year and they don't have a why. Their why is not strong enough. And so they reflect on what happened last year and they say, well, I'm not going to do that again. And we're not going to do this again. But they don't have the why to keep them going, to change their behavior. So I've heard different numbers of days or times that it takes to actually change a habit? Are you aware of what the current number is?
Well, there are different schools of thought. I've been under many mentors and trainers, and there are different schools of thought. Some say 20 days, some say 30 days. And essentially, from my perspective, it's whatever you believe. And, I can do a practice and change within that practice. So I can change a habit within a 20-minute meditation. So it's whatever you have been trained, whatever you believe to be true, because everything's energy. That's going to get a bit woo now for some of our viewers. Everything is energy. And if we dissect who we are being, we are space and energy. And so we are very light. We have a very light body. The meat body is really our physical, but we are very light. And so if we have intention is it's a very light frequency, a very high vibration. And if we set intention, and then from intention follows thought, from thought follows feeling, from feeling follows behavior, follows action. And so it starts with intention, which is a very high state of being. So I believe personally that if I've done a meditation for 20 minutes, I believe, and it's true for me, that I can change state and my being and change my outcomes straight away. And so it just depends on who you follow. But I'm very much of the mindset that it's possible. Anything is possible if you believe. And if you believe it takes 20 days, 25 days, 30 days, 28 days, then it does. It's whatever you believe.
It's all about your mindset and then being committed to it. So I agree. I know there's a couple of things I thought that I was considering changing, and then I thought, no, I don't think so. And at the same time, before New Year's, I think it was maybe 3 or 4 days before it, I just decided I was going to stop eating sugar because I hadn't eaten it for years. And then taking care of my mom, I started eating it again, and I just stopped. I haven't even thought about it, which is weird when I get up and I would typically have 4 chocolate chip cookies or Reese's cups. Like that would be my breakfast, would be completely sugar. And then just to stop it. But I have a why. And the why is that it's so unhealthy. It's bad for everything. So that was a strong enough reason for me to just not even think twice.
Well, what you've mentioned there, the why, and you've made a decision. I did quite a lot of training in Florida and Daytona with a group called Avatar, and we would call that making a decision. When you decide, so when you say I decide, that is stronger than any other woolly thing that you can consider. So it might be, you might say something like, I need to give up sugar. Then the mind finds that a task and it finds it very difficult. I need, I must, I have to. Those words are very task focused, and it's like the mind starts to go into battle and then it retaliates, and it's very difficult. But if you say things like, I choose, I will, and I am, those phrases are much lighter, they're higher vibration, and then you become whatever it is that you have decided. You can't say, I am happy, if you don't feel it. You can't say, I am a multimillionaire, if you don't feel it or act it. But the mind does not know what's real or imagined. And so it is possible to feel something without even actually being there. This is again a bit woo, but it's much more about, we are energy and frequency. And so I always do my best, especially if I'm in any written communication, I always say thank you. And I express that, in deepest gratitude, or thank you, because when you say thank you, you're thanking the person for more of what's good, what you're grateful for. Or if you say, I really appreciate, I'm grateful for this, that moves you into a higher vibration, and then things move and they become easier, and they move on a momentum. But if you're saying things like I must, I should, I need to, then it's very hard work, and it's not so easy. So the fact that you've decided, I decide, that's all you need to do. I decide, and that's it. There is nothing there. You've chosen, you've made a decision, and it's a high vibrational decision frequency. And so then it happens. But if you say, I mustn't have any more sugar, or I mustn't dip into the chocolate, because I have a chocolate drawer, and you mustn't in the fridge, I mustn't go into the chocolate drawer, I mustn't fill the chocolate drawer, that just makes you worse. So I choose to, I decide, and I think everything's okay in moderation.
I really like that about choosing and deciding. I think just reflecting on some conversations I've had with other people that are in a relationship with someone, I've heard people say, well, my partner told me this would be a good time to lose weight, or I should do this, or I should do that, so I'm going to join the gym. And they don't have the conviction to do it themselves. It's because someone else is saying they should do it. So in my mind, from my experience, I predict it's not going to work. They're not going to get the results that they want, because, as you know, we could even talk about this television platform. This is a lot of work. I mean, you have to be prepared, and you have to do your research, and you have to have your lighting and your setup. It's not like you just turn on the computer and go, oh, here I am. So it takes a lot of practice and experience, which we both have now. So that's the only reason I'm bringing it up. When we reflect on what we would like to change about ourselves, we have to actually make a commitment to put in the work, because otherwise it's not going to get done.
You absolutely, I agree with everything that you've just said, Dr. Jacalyn, because when your why is big enough, when you decide, then it becomes easy to do those steps and to do the work. But when your why, or your decision, when you're saying I must, I should, I have to, then it just becomes really challenging, and you don't turn up because you're late, or something runs over, or things get difficult. And I do a lot of preparation, because the tech is kind of my worst nightmare, and actually it's my biggest friend as well, because I'm here globally and being streamed on social media. And that for me is amazing. But I work at making that happen, because it's important to me. The outcome is important. And so the why is extremely important. If it's a must or a should, or you're pushing yourself to get something done, everything's hard work and it doesn't work. And I do want to just pick up on one of your points about if your partner says you need to lose weight. I had somebody, when I first started out in the world of therapy, I had somebody come to see me, and it had come from a website, through the training website, and the inquiry came through, and then they arrived. It was a face-to-face consultation, and they arrived, and in the website booking system, I didn't know what they wanted help with. So they arrived, and they said, my wife wants me to give up smoking. And I turned around and I said, that's going to be the fastest session on record. And I just said, I can't help you. Come back when you want to give up smoking. And he said, what? And he was really quite stunned. And I said, this is something that I need to do. I need to put another step in to have a conversation to begin with, because that's wasted your time and my time. Because I can't help you if your wife wants you to give up something. If you're ready and you want to give up something, or you want me to help you with something, then I can. But I can't help you with your wife wants you to give up. And so this is really important, that you own the decision, rather than it be something that somebody else has made you do because that's what they want of you, an expectation.
So, Caroline, with the work that you do as a certified therapist, how do you give, or what are the tools that you offer to people so they can have these mindset shifts?
Oh, that's a really great question. It depends on what they come to me for, to be honest with you. I've been in the therapy world now for 25 years. And so I have a massive toolkit, and it just depends what they need. And always I give insight, understanding, and awareness. Those are the key things about the issue or the problem that they have. Those are the key things. And it's very personally personalized to each person as they come in. And I don't need a notebook or a textbook just to check in. I'm on the fly, and sort of, I always wonder if I'm ever going to be caught out, and I haven't been yet. And that's because I know my stuff. And essentially it's whatever they need. And usually you can't solve the problem in the same consciousness that you created it, because you're in the problem. So the first thing I always do is give insight, understanding, and awareness. And it's from that place, that insight and understanding and awareness, that you can then start making changes, because you can't change something you're not aware of. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is to know that we are not the problem. We are not the behavior. We are not the person that somebody's complaining about and saying, you did this, you did that. We are a human being having an experience. And that experience is something that moves us into a space of moving into a transcendental learning. So moving from the learning into wisdom moves us into our evolution in this space on earth at this time. And I had a very good friend that was a monk, a Tibetan monk and a lama. And the monks are always in challenge every day, even small challenges. And I witnessed this myself because we were very good friends. We personally chatted about all sorts of things. So he wasn't above having those deep and meaningful conversations. And we frequently talked about the challenges that he and I were having in our own respective worlds. And through the challenges, he watched me evolve as well as I watched him evolve, which was a beautiful journey to do together, because we did lots of trainings together as well. We had a lot of similar same mentors and trainers. And so if you consider that everything is an evolvement of you in terms of moving forward, that challenge isn't to stop you. Challenge is for your growth, and challenge is for you to transcend, to learn the wisdom to move forward. And we can't find the wisdom unless we step into awareness. I also use a lot of cognitive behavior therapy tools. I never know what they need until they come to me. So I don't kind of step into, right, I'm going to do a bit of CBT now, and right, I'm going to do a bit of NLP now, and right, I'm going to do a bit of this. It's just all very much a mesh of whatever the person needs. And I never consider it's a this or a that. I give them exactly what they need. And everybody needs different things because everything's so personalized. We are individuals after all.
Very well said. Absolutely. Now, what about the mindset that you need to have when you're going for a goal and there's an obstacle that comes up, or you fall off the wagon, so to speak, and you veer off course? Is that a complete loss, or is there a way to shift your mindset and give yourself grace and continue to move forward?
What a great question, Dr. Jacalyn. Because we set goals, don't we? And then we're not quite there. And the time when it happens, when we're almost there, but we've not quite made it, that's the point that a lot of us can give up and say, no, I can't do it. I've given up. And then if somebody in your corner says, come on, and they give you a bit of encouragement, because at that point when you're almost there but not quite, there will be, for many people, a feeling of discouragement, a feeling of, well, I've got so far and I'm just not going to do it. And I worked a lot on this particular aspect, because I would get so close, and then just before I was about to tip over, something happened, a challenge happened, and it didn't come through. And I would say, right, that's it. That's how it is. And then I did a lot of work around this aspect of feeling discouraged when I was doing my training in America, actually in Florida. And about this time, I would be preparing to go to America because it was always at the end of January, towards the middle of January and into February. But now all their stuff is online, which is amazing. And in that space of feeling disenfranchised, it was then a feeling of moving from that discouragement to taking that small step and moving into the power of continuing and achieving. And sometimes it's just a couple of little things that move you from the place of, right, it's all over, I've not achieved it, to moving into glorification and achieving what you set out to do. Many people suffer with this. They get so far and then they give up. And it's that little piece that can take them over the edge, where they become, that they move into a place of superstardom because they've achieved it.
So that, I like what you said about the superstardom. So depending on where you are in your life and your journey, what your goals are, and what level of commitment you have to those, you might feel like you're a superstar, even if you're not someone who's well known around the world, right? You could be your own rock star. Is that right?
Absolutely. Because who decides what success is? You know, everybody has different definitions of success. So what does success mean for me might be different from what it means to you, might be different what it means to Elon Musk, for instance, or Richard Branson, or our prime minister, you know, or your prime minister, your president. You know, success is different for different people because it's what we deem as success. And when we set goals and we say, I want to be successful at X, Y, and Z, it's important to understand what that means, what success means to you. How will it feel? How will you feel? How will you look? How will you speak? How will you be dressing in that space of that success? And so success is an extremely personal thing. And when somebody says, when you're successful, you will be doing X, Y, and Z. Maybe the president is doing X, Y, and Z, but when you're successful personally, it's a different feeling and a different experience of success.
I think that I really like the way that you made it a simple thing for people to understand, that when we believe in ourselves and we're committed to doing certain things, we can achieve our own level of success that really doesn't have to be on the scale with anyone else. It doesn't have to be that we're on television or that we are someone who's well known. And I think it would be remiss if we didn't bring up, because of all the fires going on in California, what about people who had the best of intentions and then all of a sudden they wake up and they find out they have to evacuate and they've lost their home? How do they reframe that? Because there's got to be a lot of trauma that's involved with that. Just the fact that you have to evacuate, you see the flames everywhere, and then, you know, you may lose things that are really important to you. Hopefully it's not family members, but how do you deal with that?
Absolutely. And thank you for bringing up such an important aspect for this show, because when there is a challenge, what we tend to do, and it's our natural human instinct to preserve life. That's our natural go-to. No matter what happens, our natural go-to is to preserve life. So for instance, if there's a family and they have a young child, the mother or the father would naturally go and rescue the child, no matter what. It might be in a burning house, but they would rescue the child and they would get strength from wherever it is. So that's the logical, practical, instinctual, human instinct to preserve life. And then from that, when you have gone through that trauma of what's happening right there and then it's about how you survive, how you deal with the aftermath of what's happened. And I have a good friend that I did some training with who lives in Florida, and he lost his yachts. He lost a lot of the things that, sort of, I would say, the boy toys that he had. And he said, luckily, I've still got my home. And I said, how are you? And what he's doing is enjoying traveling around the world and enjoying what he's doing and experiences. And it's small things, a meal, a drink, and I frequently see posts where he's a multimillionaire and very successful person, and he's having breakfast, and that for him is something that's fulfilling. He's having a cocktail, and that for him is something. So it's the small pleasures, because they may not have been there. He may have lost his life. He may have been seriously harmed or within the floods. And so it's important to, what I'm seeing there is that there is a sensory experience of experiencing life again, however that is for you. Something simple like enjoying a drink with friends may be all it needs for you to reframe, I'm alive, I'm here, and I'm still able to function. And things, even though we get very attached materialistically in our culture and our society, especially in the Western world, the material things don't matter. They might matter to some extent, but your life is much more important. And that's what I'm seeing, that people come together when they have experienced something that traumatic. They come together and they help each other. And many people might be homeless, or they've not got any of their belongings, and yet they are pleased and celebrating that they are alive.
And Caroline, are you able to help people going through tragedies like this?
Absolutely, yeah, because it's trauma. It's whatever, however it comes up, it's a trauma. And what happens when we experience a trauma, however large or small, is that when we step into the logical, physical, and practical things, because we have to, and that's our culture, isn't it? We can't just go and meditate. If we're in burning flames, we have to handle the logical things and practical things. But then what happens in that space, there are feelings that we naturally, humanly push down so that we can cope, and we're able to get through what we have to get through. And then when we've moved through that, then the emotions and feelings can come up. Or for some people, they remain suppressed, and then they start to suffer things like heart palpitations, high blood pressure. They might have lots of physical low back pain. They might have things like anxiety issues. So whatever's been suppressed in terms of the feelings can get expressed within the body and expressed within their everyday when they are feeling safe. When everything has been practically and logically handled, they then go into the body, and the mind goes into the trauma response. And many people, while they're in it, they don't realize that they're in that trauma response, and they just think that's a symptom, and they're looking at the symptoms and treating the symptoms. So if it's heart palpitations or high blood pressure, they're taking medication for those symptoms, but they're related to some undealt with trauma, undealt with anxiousness, or undealt with trauma from the body that they weren't able to deal with at the time. And this is called, for many people will be aware of post-traumatic stress disorder. And this is not just for soldiers and people at war. This can be for everybody in their everyday, especially with our crazy weather and things that are happening in our current world times.
Caroline, it's always such a pleasure to be with an expert and professional like yourself. How can people reach out to you, and who would be a good client for you to help?
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. I don't know where the time goes here. It goes so quickly. You can reach me on nomorestress@live.co.uk, or call me if you're international +44, if you're local 07523 120 189. You can follow me on LinkedIn and on Facebook, and I post all my shows on my social media pages. What's a good client for me? Well, anybody that is at the moment suffering with any physical, emotional, mental pain. A good client for me, well, I think we all have a level of stress or anxiety or depression in our current times. Even if it's difficult, to reach out and you don't want to be deemed to feel uncomfortable, then I also do educational talks, and I'm now offering what is called Lunch and Learn. And in the hour lunch break, I offer a 45-minute talk to companies in their teams, online or in person. That's if it's in the UK, so online mainly, to their teams on all manner of stress-related activities that we all go through. And I recently did one in December last year on SAD, seasonal affective disorder. But this is educational at the same time transformational. And this is what I do within the shows here. Education and having the insight and understanding can change how you react and how you respond. So that's something that that's very dear to me in terms of educating people so that they feel different, so they can take some different decisions. And I look forward to helping you bust your stress.
Okay, I was trying to pull up your LinkedIn, but I wasn't fast enough. So people can reach you on LinkedIn under your name, Caroline Heward. So thank you for being here, Caroline. We look forward to seeing you again on another show.
Thank you very much. It always goes quickly, as I say, and I love this show, Dr. Jacalyn. And I think it's important to say to our viewers here, if you're on the live or the replay, we have no script, do we, Dr. Jacalyn?
No, we don't. We don't know where it's going to go. So,
no idea what you're going to ask me. I don't know what I'm going to say. This is me and you here, and what you're seeing is raw. So, and it always works, doesn't it, Dr. Jacalyn?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because you know your subject matter. You don't need a script. And I never know what I'm going to ask you because I just follow the flow of the conversation. So that's really what the listening mentor is. It's about listening on an elevated level. So I'd encourage people to put your phones down, focus your attention on the other person, and just follow the conversation, see where it goes. You might actually learn something.
So I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. As we close out, our next show is coming up. We've got the trifecta of Red O'Loughlin, who will be doing the Corner Bookstore, followed by the Wise Ones, followed by Talking Heads. And again, our hearts are with you there in California. I have family members who live there myself. Quite concerned from looking at what is on the news. It's really horrific. I've never seen anything like it. So hoping and praying that these incredible firefighters will be able to get these fires out and get as many people safely back to their homes or to a shelter, wherever it is, so people are safe. All right. Thank you all. God bless you. We'll be right back. We're going to be watching a new clip that we have for our Talking Heads show. So I hope you enjoy it. The Talking Heads experts are truly amazing, and we felt like they deserve their own introduction. Let's take a look.
Get ready for Talking Heads, the show where expert insights meet world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Brought to you by USA Global TV and Radio. Meet our distinguished presenters. From the great state of Texas, longevity expert, award-winning author, publisher, and distinguished Toastmaster, Red O'Loughlin. From London, England, soul heart awakener, novelist, vocal coach, and artist, Dr. Madeline Chan. Also from England, the Harley Street stress expert, therapist, ambassador for peace, and speaker, Caroline Heward. And from Australia, ICF PCC credentialed coach, entrepreneur, and leadership coach, Mariska Dupria. Experience their expertise, connect with their wisdom, and transform your perspective. Watch Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. This video and its contents are the property of USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. Visit usaglobaltv.com for more details.